No,
True.
so I'm in this other server, right? And this guy thinks that let me just this guy thinks that every single deity that's thought up by man exists together, every single one, and that idea just popped into his head and he just rolls with it.
Yeah,
that's
I've met
true.
people
we
like
just
that.
we just had a preacher in here earlier who's an atheist Christian.
Atheist Christian.
You just missed him. Like you literally
I
just
have
missed him.
zero clue what to say to this guy. It's so unbelievably ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
I actually
retarded. These
believe in
people are
every religion
retards,
at
dude.
exactly the
That's
same
what it
time.
is.
That's what I believe.
He
I just
says
believe
he
in
says
every-
that literally what everybody else thinks doesn't matter. It's because it's his own head, and it's true because of his own head.
That's,
Bro, he
you know
literally
what?
watched
If that
one
was me
episode of
saying it,
American
it would be
Gods and then
true.
believed that like new deities exist because people conceive of them. That's literally that's literally
No.
all
I
he
think
got
that
that idea from.
every religion
Yeah,
is the
facts.
correct one. Actually, I think that they're all correct, and I believe all of them at the same time and practice all of them.
So only the idea that all of them are correct is correct. It just creates a whole
Mhm.
new religion and repeats the cycle all over again. But now you've added a new
Yeah, but this
religion and
one is
made it even
it's
more
correct
confusing.
this time. This time it's actually correct. Okay.
Because all religions do that. All religions seek to, use other people's Bibles or whatever. I mean, just look at the Quran. They plagiarize the entire Bible.
Yeah, but to be fair, their prophet was illiterate, so it's not like they could really go off a whole lot else. You know, I mean, heck, he couldn't even write the Quran himself, so.
It's just funny how atheists nowadays think they're like doing something new and this has been done.
Oh no, I don't believe atheism is anything new. I mean, I'm an agnostic atheist. I don't really believe that there
Even
is or
worse.
isn't a God necessarily. I mean, there could be, there could not be. I don't think it's something that's accurately been depicted by humans. If I'm gonna give my honest take on the
I
matter.
agree, but then the term new atheist exists and I think it's an oxymoronic
You do
statement.
realize,
Oh, I
right?
think it's retarded.
They're like mathematicians and like physicists, right? That like dedicate their entire like life to like a specific field of study, like coming up with their own theory for how like the laws that govern the universe, and then they get to the end of like their study and then their theory, and then they come to the realization that they were wrong, but they still chose to pursue that. You know. There's nothing
Yeah.
inherently wrong with that. Doesn't mean it was a wasted endeavor, but
That's true.
Yeah.
So, but then why is it suddenly that religion is a wasted endeavor when you're trying to point to like the one like existential truth that governs like the entire universe?
So I guess the issue I would have with religion, and I'm not saying it's like a waste of time or anything like that. I would argue that I think the main issue I have is that people are too dogmatic and that they sort of have this belief that like they shouldn't question anything and like it's sort of like a refusal to like ask any questions or to like try to find
What's
logical
wrong with loyalty?
inconsistencies.
What's wrong with
Loyalty to
having
what?
unwavering loyalty to God,
Um,
family, country?
if you don't question anything, then what if it turns out that that thing is wrong? You come to
Who
wrong
cares if it's
conclusions.
wrong? Who cares?
What?
It could be
So
wrong.
you don't. So you acknowledge that it's the case that you could be wrong. You just don't care.
You can
It
be
could be
wrong in life, right?
it could be a logically impossible, thing to even comprehend.
So
And
if
in
it's
that
logically
case, you're
impossible, then it's not
completely
possible.
justified.
No, it's actually not justified. That's like the opposite of justified. If it's
But what
logically
if you can't
impossible, then it's
know
not
if it's right
possible.
or wrong? Like, what if you can't know? What if it's impossible for you to comprehend? What if Cthulhu was attacking you and you had no
That's
idea?
true. There is a non-zero chance that that's happening right now, and that we're all just in a simulation.
Well, that's what demonic attacks are. They don't make any sense and they happen all the time. Literally,
Okay,
Cthulhu was
so
attacking
let's
people.
explore the simulation theory real quick, because this one I
People
always
just
find
lose
quite
their
interesting.
minds. Like, it just drives people
What do
insane.
you?
It's
Let me ask
wild.
you guys. What do you think the purpose of a simulation theory would be? What
The
do you think? Let me
purpose?
ask you. What do you think the purpose of a simulation would be?
I guess it depends on why would I mean, there's many different reasons. Let me think. So one of them could be for the sake of experimentation, right? So it could be the case that
Ooh.
time that we perceive is
Yeah, I got the swords
happens
finally.
faster than
I
whoever's
didn't get it
observing
yet.
us, right? It could be the case that
Yeah, maybe the sword might be
humans
better.
let's say that there's actual humans in
Mm.
some real universe,
I
and
gotta
then they're
power it up
simulating
though.
their own universe, and we're a part
For
of
the
that
boss?
simulation.
I
Yeah.
don't think it's a good
There's
idea.
plenty of There's plenty of things that could be
Okay,
explanations.
but why would you have individuals acting as free agents in a simulation?
Okay,
If
wasn't
they can
really a
all
sword
act in their
boss,
own
that's-
individual way,
reality.
okay? Because then
True,
if they're
true,
not working
true.
towards if they're not working towards a collective goal, then
Or teleport.
there's no structure to the simulation. Like the point of
Well,
a simulation,
would be
right, is
to
that
like
there's
see what
structure to
happens.
it.
It
Hmm.
doesn't have
Okay,
to
but
be
that's the
structured.
point, right? To see what happens. Like there's an intended
Yeah,
goal or
see what
outcome that you're trying to
happens.
achieve.
No, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. If
It
you're
is
like
because all
no, if you're
simulations have
scientifically brain, you
parameters
don't
set,
just have
right?
one intended outcome. You
But
want to see what happens if
you
you do
you do
different
realize,
things,
right?
and this could be one of many things you could do.
No, you do realize with experiments, right? All experimentation, the very first thing you start with, you define the parameters within which the experiment is to take place. It's the
Nice.
same thing with a simulation.
So why does that
If the
have to be?
simulation is
Why does that have to be a parameter? Why can't you do a simulation where actors operate randomly and
Hello?
freely? Like, how is that logically impossible? What's the logical contradiction there? Like, I'm sorry, what?
Right,
Yeah. Facts.
right. You're putting the food in the fridge. All right.
You gotta
Again,
put
so anyway,
food.
the point
What
of
the
the
heck?
point of a simulation, okay, or an experiment, okay, is to try and achieve a defined outcome, all right, or a
Yeah, what if
predetermined
you want to find the
outcome.
outcome of what happens if you have a bunch of agents with free will that operate in a specific kind of universe? Like, why is that logically impossible? What's the contradiction there?
The point. So what are you? So what are you trying to? What's your
Hello?
argumentation?
What's
That
the
the point of
contradiction there? No.
what would
Answer
the
the
point of the
question.
simulation be?
Answer the question. What is the contradiction there?
The
What is the
contradiction is that if you
contradiction?
simply have free agents acting of their own accord to
That's not a
no
contradiction.
predetermined outcome, it is because there's no. What's the point of the
Wait,
simulation?
hold on. If it's a predetermined outcome and you already know what the outcome is going to be, then what's the point?
No,
You wouldn't know what the outcome
that's
is.
the point of the simulation. You're trying to achieve the outcome. That's the point.
So you only want one potential outcome. You don't like.
Yeah.
What if it's the case that there's a simulation and you don't know what the outcome is? Wouldn't that be like the most interesting outcome? You know, the one that you don't know what it's going to be. The
If you
one that's
have
not
if the
predictable, just to
the
see what
point of the
happens and then
simulation, the
trying to
point of
understand
setting
why.
parameters, no, the point of the setting parameters is to try and guide towards that outcome, achieving that outcome, right? You may not know the means by which to achieve that outcome, which is the point of running a simulation. Okay, that's why you preemptively do
Oh,
tests.
dude, I love
This
crit.
is this is fundamental to all
Such a
scientific experiments,
stupid
right? This is why
argument.
you set parameters because you're trying to achieve a specific outcome, but you don't know the methods by which to achieve that. So then, what do? You do tests, you do simulations, you do
Okay, what if
experimentation,
you do a simulation where you want to find out
adhering
what
to
happens if
predefined
you create a universe
guidelines
where agents
and
have free will?
parameters. What?
What if that's the test that you're doing? You want to find out what happens if you have actors that exercise free will, and you want to find
Well,
out
you
what
already
happens,
know what they're going to do. They're going to act according to their own volition. That's
which
the
is going
point.
to produce what outcome?
It doesn't serve an outcome.
It doesn't have an outcome. There's no outcome. There's zero outcomes to any of our actions.
How can you tangibly
Talking
use
about.
that? How can you
You
use
just
that?
sound like an insane person.
I'm scared.
Damn,
How
bro.
can you use that? How can
Uh-oh.
what can
What
you
do you mean? How
possibly
can you use that?
Homie's
You're
getting
looking for
cooked,
an
dude.
outcome.
how can you possibly use a simulation where
Give me some milk,
individuals act
dude.
upon their own volition and their own free will,
Because that's what
okay,
you're
and there's no
testing for.
there's no
You want to
ulterior
know what
goal.
happens if they have
Oh
free will.
yeah,
You
I
want
have
to know what they
parry
will
now
do
with
and
the
how they will
sword.
operate.
Mhm.
That would be the point of the experiment.
Okay.
No, you know how they're going to operate. They're going to operate
You
according
know
to
how
their
they're
own
going to
volition.
operate. You know what the outcomes are going to be.
Yes, because you'd have set
Yes, I
predefined
thought you said that there would be
parameters
no
by
outcomes.
which they can
So now
operate,
you've changed
right?
your argument. So now you've changed
No,
it from there are no outcomes to there are predictable outcomes.
That's so
Can
good.
you tell me what the predictable outcomes are?
Don't forget your rosary.
you can dictate it based on the parameters by which the people
Dictate
can
it?
exercise
No,
their
you
own free
can't dictate it
will.
because they would have free will. That's like the opposite.
No, but you're still limited.
Ooh.
Okay, so let me ask you this: how much? Let me ask you this: can you create a neutron star of your own
This
free
one?
will?
A neutron star
I
from my
can't
own free
read
will.
that.
No, I can't.
Oh,
do that.
you have free
Okay.
will, don't you? You have personal agency. Why can't you just
Uh-huh.
create a fucking neutron star of your own free will? You can't because there's fucking universal laws that govern the way in which you can operate within the fucking
Yeah, so
within
those
this
would be the
world.
parameters.
Exactly, but you're saying that those parameters don't exist and wouldn't exist, but they
I
clearly
didn't say
fucking
that
do.
those parameters didn't exist. I said the
Yeah, rosary.
parameters of the way in which
But you
these
subscribe to
actors
universe.
operate.
You subscribe to the what do you call it? The fucking theory of like simulation theory.
I don't subscribe to it. I'm saying it's not implausible I'm saying it's not logically impossible. It's not likely necessarily, but it's not impossible.
It's implausible if it was just for the purpose of allowing individuals to act of their own volition for no,
Based on
for
what?
no.
What's the logical contradiction there? You failed to establish.
Because it serves no
Why would
purpose.
there be a
What's the
logical
point? It's a wasted
contradiction? What are you talking
exercise.
about?
It's quite literally a fruitless exercise. That's the point,
You
right?
think that you look good in this discussion?
Running a simulation
Answer the question. Do you think you look good in
running a
this discussion right now?
simulation without a
He's just
desired
cooking. He's
outcome,
cooking.
okay, is a fruitless exercise. Because
Okay.
Because how do you determine whether the simulation is? Let me ask you this: how do you determine if a simulation is a success or not?
What do you mean?
If every outcome is if every outcome is purely random, dictated by chance, and not governed by individuals having to operate within a system having to operate in a predefined set of parameters, if every outcome or
The parameters would be the laws of
if every
physics.
iterance of that simulation is completely and purely fucking random based on
It wouldn't be
random
random, right?
chance, how do you know if
Hold on,
you've
when people
how do you
operate
know
with
how do you
free
know if
will,
you've run a
do they operate
successful
randomly?
simulation or not?
Hold on, it wouldn't be random. When people operate with free will, do they operate randomly? Like, do you just do random things for no reason all the time, always? Or is it the case that you, as a conscious entity, find yourself, I don't know, going out of your way to get food, to live in society, to have a job, etc. So it's not random, right? You do realize that there are going to be obvious laws of physics, the universe, etc. Right? So there are parameters, right? What you're testing for in the simulation would be free will. So you're testing what happens if you give these actors, these independent actors, free will given these conditions, and what are the outcomes on average? And you could run multiple simulations. You could run 1,000.
So the purpose of the simulation is to judge the character of the individuals operating within it.
No,
That's
that's not what I
interesting.
said. So
Ooh.
if you
That's
had any
interesting. Well, it
literary
is because
comprehension
that's what you
skills,
said.
you would know that
You
that
said the
wasn't what I
purpose of it is
said.
to test them.
No, no, that's not what I said. I said that that would
Yes, it
be
is.
one of the things that they would be able to do. You would be measuring the outcomes on a broader scale if each individual has that, and then you have an entire collective
So
society
why would you
of
need to measure
people that have
why
that.
would you need to
What
measure
is
their
the
behaviors?
outcome of that? That's like
Why would you need
very
to measure the
basic.
behaviors if there's not a system by which or a standard
What
by
are you
which
talking
you
about? You would
measure
measure
them?
what? You would measure the outcome.
Okay, well, what's
different.
the standard by which they measure those outcomes?
What do you mean? I'm sorry. Do I need to know
Well, you're
every
saying that
single detail of the
you're
scientific
collecting data
experiment
sets, but you have
in
nothing.
like this
You
purely
have no
hypothetical
empirical measurements by
situation?
which to measure that data set by. So I'm asking you, what is the empirical data set by which
What is the empirical
measure the
data set that
outcomes
they
of
would
those
measure with
individuals'
people that don't have free will?
actions?
What is the empirical data set that they would use to measure with agents that don't have free will? Oh,
You
now
wouldn't
you.
have individuals. You
Oh,
couldn't
so
have
now you
you
can't.
couldn't no you couldn't
Now
have
you can't.
individuals.
Now you
You
can't
couldn't
answer
have
your question.
individual.
You can't
No,
answer
you
your
couldn't
own
have
question, you fucking
individuals.
idiot. Because it's
You
not a
couldn't have
reasonable question.
individuals
You
operate
moron. And now
within
you're
that
running
simulation.
away.
No,
You're running away.
no. You literally just asked me.
Yes,
You
you're
just asked
running
me
away. You
individuals
look
that don't have
terrible
free
right
will.
now. You
You've
look like a
derailed. You've
moron.
segued from individuals that do have free will, and the
You
entire
look
purpose of
really
the
stupid.
simulation
You
be
look
predicated
so
upon
bad.
that. You literally just
You
brought
didn't even
up.
answer your own question in the
I
context
did.
and
No,
explain
no.
why it's
I have an
why
answer
it's
for it.
shit.
I have an answer for the entire purpose
All
of the
right, that's
simulation.
very.
You
You
have like a
don't.
real
That's the
answer?
point.
It was awesome.
I've been trying to tease a fucking answer out of you for like the last 10 minutes, and you haven't been
You've
able
been
to give me
trying to
one.
tease an answer out of me. What are you talking about?
What is the purpose of running a simulation
I
with
already answered the
individuals that
question. To
have free
find out what
will?
happens. That's the purpose. To find out
No,
what
no,
happens.
no.
Generally, if you're testing something, you want to see what happens as a result of that. No?
No, because the purpose of the
No, you
simulation.
do want to see what happens. You just never look at the results.
Okay, let me ask you this. How many random experiments
Hold on,
do you think
wait. No.
No, how many random
What are you
experiments
talking
do you think
about?
people just
Either
conduct
the case
randomly?
that yes, they do want to see the results, or no, they
Damn,
don't
the
want to see
church
the
is
results.
expensive.
No, how many? Give me an
Oh,
example of scientists just
No.
conducting a
Listen,
random
I'm trying to
real
experiment
answer
money.
you until you
with
answer
randomly
mine.
defined
Is it the case that
parameters
yes,
for no reason,
they
just to
want to
see
see
the
the results,
outcome.
or no, they don't want to see the results?
Lock interest. Got
No,
this.
no, that's not how
Yeah.
scientists operate, bro.
No. It's either the case that yes, they want to see the results after the simulation, or no, they don't.
No, they want to see if the
don't
results of
wanna
the
see it. They
simulation
do wanna see
align
the
with what
results.
their
Okay, so the
expectations
answer
are,
is yes.
right?
So that's a yes. They do
No.
want to see the results. So the purpose is to see what happens, correct?
What's the point in measuring the results? If it's a random if the outcome
It's
of
not
the
random.
simulation is
There are
purely random
parameters
and
in the
purely
universe.
chance, because you have no
It's not
because
just pure
you
chance.
it is
Yeah.
pure chance
If you
because the
give
individuals
actors
are acting on their own free will.
a certain sense of rationality on average, and you give them free will, and you give them certain
Nice.
parameters through which they have to live their lives, then no, it's not
Fun.
entirely random. There is one variable that you would be measuring, right? Which is what
And what's
happens
that?
if you
What's the
give
what's the
these
what's the
people
what's
free
what are they
will, and what is
measuring?
the outcome of that?
What
Whatever
are
the
they
outcomes that you're
measuring?
trying to, they could be measuring the outcomes. They could be measuring what happens to the earth.
Yeah,
They
but what
could
are
be
they measuring
measuring
those outcomes against?
whole what measuring
What are they
against
measuring those outcomes against?
perhaps a world in which nobody has free will, in which everybody is controlled in order to make the most rational decisions. Who knows? It could be anything, truly. But there's no logical contradiction there.
No, I think we do know. I think
No, you
I think
don't
it's
know.
already
The
I
answer
think
is
it's
you
been
don't know.
known for a long while, bro.
It's been
It's
known.
been known for thousands of years. Since the beginning of time, since the first man, since Adam, bro.
Ooh.
Literally, what was the purpose of giving mankind free will? It was to judge the individuals based on their actions, whether or not they were, deemed worthy to be redeemed in the eyes of God. That's literally the purpose of
Okay, so
a
I'm not making a
simulation.
religious
That's the
argument
entire
right now.
purpose of that's
So you're
like
gonna
literally what
decide.
the Bible dictates.
Okay, so I don't care what the Bible dictates, right?
No, but
You're
the Bible
saying that
literally
that
the Bible
simulation
literally
theory.
explains simulation theory 2,000 years ago, bro.
Snap.
Okay, so I'm talking about
It literally
simulation theory.
explains the
So
entirety of
was
human
God
existence
okay? So was God
from
doing
a
an
creationist
experiment?
perspective.
Was God creating humanity as an experiment?
No,
No, he
No.
knows
Okay, so
all
then
because
it's
God
things.
knew. That's the point, right?
He
That's the
already
point.
knows.
Before God, yeah,
yeah. So
exactly. This is the
okay, so he
point. God
already knows
already
what's gonna
knows
happen.
the outcome,
Then no, that wouldn't
but
be
he still
simulation
sets the
theory.
parameters by
So no,
which the experiment
that's
can
not
take
simulation
place
theory.
for,
That's not
independent.
simulation theory.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Simulation theory literally
Do you
subscribes to
think
the
that
belief that if we
Christianity and
operate in a
simulation theory are
simulation
exactly
theory
the same
literally
thing?
subscribes to the belief that if we do not exist within base reality,
Holy
then
shit.
there is a bro. That's literally what they believe. Creation theory literally subscribes to the idea that if we don't exist within base reality, then there has to be some what we would consider to be a creator, intelligent design behind that which we experience today, and that there has to be a moralistic or a
No, it
moral
doesn't have to be
motivation
moralistic.
for
The
the
fact that
simulation
it's
to
not
exist.
a
Yes,
motivation,
it
sure,
is.
maybe.
But if you
Saying that
appeal to evolution for also the explanation, that's just begging the
All
question
right.
because it still needs some divine or at least some creation because matter doesn't
not
create itself.
necessarily.
No, unnecessarily, because even according to
I thought you cleared it.
scientifically, no, the first and
I'm
second law of
confused.
thermodynamics says matter cannot be created nor destroyed. So matter cannot be created. So therefore, you can't do it without divine. Matter
Okay.
doesn't generate on its own. It needs.
Okay.
I
And
mean,
what makes you think that it has to be like a
Trez.
divine force?
What?
What if it's just like a natural force that exists?
but because
Locked in.
because of creation, because
Oh.
cause and effect
Cause of
theory.
cause
Because
and
of
effect theory?
a cause and effect theory refutes you because still that needs something to be caused, and at some point, even according to the
What?
cause and effect
Okay,
theory,
what
you
caused
need an
God to
uncaused
exist?
causer.
What
Well,
caused God
that's
to
the thing.
exist?
With
Yo.
the cause and effect theory, there's an eternal.
Not
There has to be something that has to be an uncaused causer because the infinite
Okay, and why is
regress
that
is a
conscious?
fallacy. Because the
Why is it
infinite
conscious?
Oh
regress
man,
is a fallacy.
rough.
Okay, so why is it the case that whatever that causes, why does that have to be conscious?
Why does it have to be conscious? Because consciousness comes from a conscious mind. It comes from something that
These first two
makes
parts
it.
are easy.
Yes,
Wait, how do you even
This
know
guy.
that? Okay, so
Yeah.
you're saying that there has to be a cause, but how would you know
He has a
that
punch though,
it is
and a dash. Yeah.
a conscious cause? Like, how do you know that that cause itself is conscious?
And this attack
There's no
here.
evidence.
how do we know this is conscious? Okay, because where does consciousness come from? It doesn't come from evolution. Because if you appeal to that, that's called a nature fallacy.
How is that a nature fallacy?
Because you're appealing to nature to make
Like, what if it's
reason
the case
and
that
fallacy.
what if it's the okay? So do you have any evidence that it's the case that consciousness
Let's go.
isn't just like some sort of like energy that's like created by our brain structures and chemical reactions? Like, do you have any evidence to support that that's not the case? That there's like something beyond the physical realm of existence with consciousness?
Well, I think
Or
there
is
is
this something
because
you've made up?
there's not something I made up. So it's number one, for consciousness to first exist, you do need reason. You do need to realize
Let's go.
your surroundings, and you also need some standard that you realize with your consciousness. And the consciousness that you would have, therefore, would have to appeal to divine, or at least a divine
No, it
standard.
doesn't. That's
Easy.
not the logical conclusion.
Let's go.
That is the logical conclusion.
No, it's
Because
not.
because if I'm conscious of something, how do I know about these things? How do I figure
You know
these
about
things
what
out?
things?
No, how do I know about everything in general?
What do
Because
you mean know about everything?
no, for example, if I'm conscious and I have a moral code, atheists have zero moral code, and when they appeal to
Easy.
to Western society for their morals, they're appealing to God's
Your moral
law.
code.
You don't have no moral code without God. No, all you
I'm
have
sorry.
Just.
no. If you do not have God, you have no standard to appeal to, and when you appeal to
Sonic
society,
authoritarianism is my standard, but okay.
no. But if you appeal to your own
I'm
self,
literally a
what
moral
happens?
realist. You can't use this argument against me.
No, I can. Oh, are you a moral relativist? Are you a moral
I'm a
relativist?
moral realist. You know what a moral
Just
realist is?
Define it.
blocked.
I'm
Yeah,
getting
so,
jumped.
I believe it's the case that morality
Oh
is
my gosh.
objective, it's real, and it's
This
universal.
is
right? So I believe it's the case
That's
that
insane. 2
that
boss
as an
fights.
objective
You
standard.
just proved my point.
People do the
No,
whole
I
game
didn't.
taking no
Yes, you
damage.
did. Oh, okay, let me. Okay,
Yeah.
so if you say that there is objectiveness, that means you're appealing to a standard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the standard.
Okay.
Okay. So I believe. Okay. Do you know what qualia is?
I think we need
Define it.
fervor.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you would agree that you have experiences, right? You experience
Yes.
things that are positive, right? So you experience positive qualia,
I
right?
have to get
You
maxed out,
experience
man.
negative qualia, neutral qualia.
Farming time.
If you press your hand against a pillow, right? You feel something. You could describe it, but that doesn't. But if somebody has never pressed their hand against a pillow, like you could describe it as soft, but they wouldn't know what that's
Your
like, right?
guilts
That'd
Well,
are on the
be like
map.
a
You can
qualia,
find
right?
them.
Yeah.
The things that
Claim
you
them.
experience. Okay.
well, okay. So
So,
number
pay
one,
the
let me
church to do
first
it.
let me before
So
before you make
interrupt me. Oh, I'm sorry. Was I interrupting you? Interrupting me?
okay.
No. Okay. So
Well,
let me continue. So
no,
the
because I'm gonna address your point one at a time.
So I was interrupting you, interrupting me. Okay. Go on.
So, firstly, I want to say this. So, if you're going to appeal to, really quickly, I wanted to stop you because if you're going to appeal to someone's personal experience to base your moral code and base that around your reality, therefore, if someone did not go to space, we do not know space existed. If I do not know what war is, therefore I don't know war existed. Because now
No,
you're
that's
just
not
begging
true.
the question. No, that is logic.
That's not what it means.
Yes, it
What are we
does.
talking about? Hold on. We're talking about morality, not the existence of the universe. I believe that the universe exists independent of humanity. That's what I believe. What are
Okay,
you
that's
talking
your
about?
belief based off your experiences. And
Yes, that's what I
secondly,
want to base it off of.
yes, but your experiences are flawed because, for example, if I'm going to judge my moral code based off personal experience, if I
Okay, well,
see
I'm
someone
gonna
get
explicitly
beat down, okay, no. So if I beat somebody, no, that means that's bad in our society, but somewhere else in Africa or some rather tribe somewhere, it's good to eat people. So therefore, that's your moral
Well,
code.
you don't even know, bro. You don't even need to go to that extreme. You can go to the Daniel Penny case.
Is it gonna be the case?
Daniel
But,
Penny saw a guy acting out on a train, threatening to kill people. He felt it was moral. He felt there was a moral
listen, nobody,
imperative to subdue
nobody,
that guy and
this time,
restrain him.
and nobody was talking to you. So I'm
And
gonna
yet the
respond.
prosecution for the DA
He said
saw
nobody's
it
talking to you.
a moral
This is a
imperative
general
to
I'm gonna
quote
prosecute
respond
him.
to the
conversation.
arguments that were made. Okay. So it's actually the case that the objective standard that I use is positive
Mhm.
and negative qualia. You would agree that everybody experiences negative and positive qualia, correct? And that positive
Yeah.
qualia definitionally is preferable to negative qualia, right?
Okay, so first you're trying to say that
Yes or no?
positive.
That's a yes or
Define
no
your
question.
terms.
Yeah. So positive qualia would be like any like positive experience, right? Like anything
Mhm.
positive, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A negative qualia would be like the inverse of that, right? So anything that's like negative, like stubbing your toe, getting your hand chopped off, right? That'd be negative qualia. Positive qualia is like I ate something that tasted good, or whatever.
Hang on a
I
minute. You ate something
You're
good. Hang
appealing.
on.
Yeah,
Wait
you're
a minute.
appealing
Two
to
people can eat
authority.
the
So.
same. Two people can eat the same dish and have different reactions,
I'm
right?
not appealing to
Yeah, that's a good point. No, but here's
Because
yeah, no,
nobody asked.
but
You could save two people the identical
Damn, that's
two. You could
crazy. I'm
save
just
two
gonna mute
people
this
two
guy.
identical
This guy doesn't
dishes, and
shut
they'll
the
both
fuck up.
have
Jesus
different opinions
Christ.
on it, right?
All right, I'm just gonna
Damn.
mute him. All right, anyways, um,
can't deal with it.
what else have I
They
got?
literally gave food
All
as
right,
an
anyways,
example of an objective good.
as I was
Like
saying,
what?
long story
Buddy,
No,
short.
Always
British. Here's the
there's
thing,
nothing
bro.
objective about
Oh
good
no, I
food.
muted British.
He
That's
just
fine. I
mutes
didn't
me
mute him.
because he knows that
No,
I'm
I
right.
didn't mute you. I didn't mute
He
you.
muted me.
I didn't mute you, Luke. I muted British because he wouldn't shut the fuck up because nobody was
Okay.
talking to him. So, yeah, it's actually gonna be the case that no, I'm not like appealing to like any authority. I'm literally just basing it off of qualia, right? I believe it's the case that we ought to maximize positive qualia and minimize negative qualia, right?
To
That's my
what
belief.
standard? No, that's your belief. Okay, so
Yeah, I
that's
don't know.
subjective.
No,
Where do you appeal to this?
Objectively.
No, okay,
Where?
okay. Where do you get this objective from? I'm asking, where is this objective from? You can appeal to this, but that's
Intersubjective
appealing to
agreement.
nature.
Intersubjective agreement.
Okay, intersubjective agreement still doesn't prove your case because that's basing off a people. You're appealing it on subjectiveness. So if one person
Not
says
subjective.
ice cream's good, one person says ice cream is bad, are you just gonna pick and choose which one you want?
Yeah, so that would be a case where there's not intersubjective agreement, right? That's going to be obviously the distinction there, right? That's going to be the case that, say for instance, I like chocolate ice cream and hate vanilla, and you like vanilla and you hate chocolate. Okay, that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that one is better than the other. Okay, but what is the case is if I hate vanilla, okay, and then I eat it, I experience negative qualia. If you eat chocolate, you experience negative qualia, right?
Mhm.
So the negative qualia would be what's bad, right? Experiencing the thing that's bad, right? Even if different things
Mhm.
cause it, even if we experience it in different ways, we can easily and intuitively categorize it as good and bad, right? That's the moral
It's
standard.
not intuitive.
It's
No,
very
it's
It's
not.
so
hold on,
different.
wait.
Look how
It's not
much you're
experiencing
disagreeing
something as
about
good or
it.
bad.
You can't even
Literally,
agree. It's
Bro.
different for everybody, but it's intuitive.
Well, here's the thing. If it's
What? You
intuitive,
can't
right?
tell whether or not something is good or bad in terms of your own
No, without a standard.
What?
Because how a brain works is it is developed based off their environment, and a lot of times it can be based off their beliefs. So some point, but those beliefs and the standard, for example, if I'm in nature and I am somebody and I say I kill somebody once, and I've been raised that entire time to kill somebody, and that's good. It gives me, dopamine. It makes me happy. Therefore, that's positive to me and negative to somebody else. So
Okay,
therefore,
so
I should
so
listen
we
to
would do a
myself.
utilitarian calculation. No, you're wrong. So what we would do is we would measure that the harm caused by killing that person supersedes the enjoyment you get, meaning that's a morally bad action. That's objectively bad.
How do you get morality? Stop
What are
appealing
you
to
talking about? I just said
your
qualia.
human.
You fucking idiot.
Okay, qualia is still something. That is
You're
not a
retarded.
standard.
It is a standard. You just don't like my standard.
No, because your standard still has flaws in it.
You know, there's flaws in it, even though I'm physically incapable of pointing out any of them. Like, what are you talking about?
No, because for example, you're appealing to positive and negative to
Yes.
appealing
Yeah.
to your moral code. You need
Thanks,
something
man.
outside of positive, and you need something to tell you what that is. And
No,
if
I
other
don't need
people
somebody to
just
tell me
yes, you
what
do.
that is. If I
Yes,
stub
you
my
do.
toe and I feel a certain way,
You gotta
nobody has
farm a
to
little
tell me
bit
how I feel.
to
You
get your
fucking
But
food
you're
back.
not even conscious. How are you even aware? Okay, how about this? Let's say this. How do you even know that you're not in a simulation? How do you not know? How do you
I
know?
don't know that.
Okay, but what? How do you know reality is created? How do you know this?
I don't know. That's my. What are you talking about? I don't know that anything is real. What are you talking about?
Dude,
If
you
you
want the
don't know anything
confession
is
and the
real,
game.
do you believe that conversation that we're having right now is meaningful or meaningless?
I believe it could be meaningful.
How do you know if something's meaningful or not meaningful?
I don't know for certain, right? You can't know anything for certain. You can't know
Well, I
anything with
mean, you
100%
can
certainty.
know things are
No,
certain.
you actually can't.
You
You
can.
could be having a schizophrenic delusion right now. You'd have no idea.
Hang
No,
on, but you were
I wouldn't
saying
know.
you were born
Probably
in the
not the
wrong
case,
body.
right? But it's possible.
No,
From your
you
perspective,
were
it
saying
absolutely
you
is.
were saying
just
that
don't
you were
realize
born
it.
in the wrong body, so certain that you tried to have gender reassignment shit. How does that work?
So
He muted you, by the way.
Well, yeah. Well, if they're not gonna
Oh,
respond to
yeah,
that, just
because they're
drop it on them
interjecting
for
when
me.
nobody asked them.
Drop that shit on them, because
But
if they can't be certain
I
of
mean,
something,
if
ask
you're
them
not
how
gonna
they
make
are
any
so certain
points,
that
I'll
they
unmute
changed their whole
them.
fucking gender.
Well, anyways, I mean, if we're trying to like this conversation, I think is global, and I think should be this conversation should be. I mean, if you're gonna talk to one person directly, this is a
Oh,
group
that's fine.
chat. This is called
I'm
a group
enjoying
chat.
this.
So I mean, so if you're gonna mute British because he's annoying, then I might as well you might not be here because to be honest with you, this is a global
Damn.
conversation to be
Damn,
talking
that's
to people.
crazy. I don't care.
You don't care? Oh boy.
No,
That's
I
So
actually
seven
no.
easy.
I
therefore
don't care
you're
what British
then
has to say. Why would
That's
I care?
terroristic though,
There's a
because
single
you
reason to
should just
care what he has
silence
to say.
opinions you disagree with.
yeah.
No, I
I
just
mean,
don't
this
care what
is
he
You
has
don't
to say
believe in
because he's
freedom
annoying.
of speech,
And he was
dude?
interjecting when
No.
nobody gave a fuck about what he was saying.
No, I did. I did.
We were
Yeah.
listening sometimes, I guess.
I think
You
this is
could
a
you could you
conversation.
Technically,
you
fam,
did cook him earlier, I guess.
in this room, like, we ask you not to locally mute people, but it is what
Why?
it is. I mean, it's just
He,
part
he
of
like
like
he wouldn't
Discord
shut up. Like
policy.
he was like
Well,
incapable
that's
of
part
shutting
of the
up.
Yeah, yeah.
And
politics.
I
nobody
mean,
was
whatever.
talking to him.
yeah. At the end of the day, you have the freedom to associate however you want.
hmm
But you know, it is a politics Discord, so there's a particular framing of the Discord that we just try to observe
Yeah, I
to
just wanted to
allow
respond
for
to Luke's
exchange of
arguments rather than
ideas.
have British like
It's okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm
basically
just
suck
letting you
his dick
know.
the entire time in response when I'm supposed to be responding.
Mhm.
So that's why I muted him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh
No, I
boy.
understand that too.
Mhm. But I've unmuted him now. But
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I think he's
So wait,
mentioned
you
that
can't. You
before.
said you can't be certain of anything, yet you were so certain that you were born in the wrong body that you underwent gender reassignment surgery. So how does that work?
well, I have some level of certainty. I haven't gotten surgery, but like I
That's-
am.
Well,
that's
define
I have
level of
some level of
certainty.
certainty that
Well,
like hold
certainty
on, you
is
don't have
not.
to have
It's
a
certainty is
hold on, you don't have to have
certainty isn't a
100% level of
gradient. You're either
certainty,
certain
what?
or you're not.
Hold on,
It's
wait. You
definitive.
don't have to have 100% level of certainty. That's your standard
Certainty is
for doing anything. Like when you make a
Oh,
certainty.
decision,
that's
like
Certainty
such a
by
hold
its
on, when you make a
definition
decision, you have
is
to have like
definitionally definitive,
100% level
right?
of certainty. That's fucking insane. That's the dumbest
The
thing I've
word
ever heard.
certain, right?
Can you
Certain
stop
means that
appealing to
you have a
emotions?
definitive, right? It's a definitive
What?
statement. I am certain of this to be true, which means it's a definitive statement.
Okay.
It means
Like,
that
what level of
you
certainty?
subscribe
Like,
to one
do you
truth.
know for
You
certain?
accept that to be
Like,
truth.
do you know for certain that you exist?
Based on all my
Hello?
based on all my experiences and that which I can conceive, yes.
No, you don't know that. You don't know that your experiences accurately reflect the reality.
dude.
You don't know that. You
You
don't have
just
that.
contradicted yourself.
Well, but I have
No, I
no,
didn't.
but I have
Oh,
no
okay,
other
yeah.
experiences outside that which I've already experienced. So I have nothing else by which to
Well,
to
yeah.
challenge that which I've
Yeah, you
experienced.
have reason to believe that you're real, right? You have reason to believe. That doesn't mean you know for certain. There's a distinction there.
I haven't. Well, I haven't been presented anything credible enough to challenge that my conception. So as far as
Sure.
I'm
I'm
concerned,
not saying
yes,
your
I am
conception
certain
is
that I
wrong.
exist.
I'm just saying you wouldn't know it for certain, right?
Well, no, that's you're trying to instill doubt. I'm telling you that I am certain because I haven't been presented with anything else to a sufficient standard
Okay,
that
how do
would
you
be
know
able
you're
to
not a brain
challenge
in a
my
vat?
certainty. Referring
Do you
to
have proof
what?
of it? From your perspective, how do you know you're not a brain in a vat?
My gosh.
Hang on a minute, you have to repeat that last statement. I didn't hear the last part of it.
Okay. So from your own perspective,
Hmm.
how do
You
you
I'm not
have
sure
know
which one of
you're
them to
not
Slither.
a brain
attack.
in a vat?
Yeah. I'm not sure which
Afraid
one
of
of
the
them to go
what?
for.
A brain in a vat.
I actually thought you
A
were
Means
gonna
that
brain
do
in a
everything that
vat?
you're
Yeah.
experiencing isn't
that.
real.
I went.
That's good.
Because I haven't been presented with any evidence to prove that prove the statement that I am a brain in a fucking vat. Like
I just
Well,
wonder
it'd
which
be
one I should go for.
unfalsifiable either
you
way,
have to
right? You can't
demonstrate
prove it
something
one
to
way or another.
substantiate that. Like
No, I agree. I'm not saying that you are a brain in a vat, right? You just don't know for certain that you're not one, right? So
well,
I
no,
don't
but this
believe
is the
that I'm
point.
a
You
brain
can
in a vat,
present
right?
hypotheticals all
Yeah,
you
but
want, right? But
that's a
without
form of
substantiating
question
the
begging,
hypothetical,
Femboys,
it's
because
fugazi, right? It doesn't exist.
there's other positive externalities that determine, right, that are more, you could say, are more real experiences that you aren't a brain in a vat than you are a brain in a vat. Like I have to like
I would
take a
say we have
leak
reason to
sometimes, you
believe.
know what I mean? I have to like poop. These are all positive externalities that I have to address. These are experiences I'm having from the outer world that I'm confronted with, right? And I have to engage in with in some way,
Well,
right?
it's what I perceive to be the outer world, right? But I don't know for certain from
Yeah,
my
I mean,
perspective that it's the outer world.
right, the inductive
Like I don't know
premise,
for
right? The
certain. I
inductive
have
premise
reason to
stands on its
believe.
own, right?
Well, I have reason to believe.
We only debate and discuss the strength of one inductive premise over another, but we don't question whether it exists.
Right. It's like, I believe that the world is round, No, I haven't
I do
physically
too.
been to space and observed the Earth to be round. For all we know,
Correct.
using your line of logic, the world could in fact be flat.
It is.
I
But
don't think
making
it's
that
very
statement
likely
sounds
that it is.
preposterous, right?
Well, that would defy all of the laws of physics, right? It would be
Oh,
like a
But have you
very, very,
studied the
very
laws of
unlikely.
physics? Have you observed it
You
yourself?
could say that I'm. You
Oh,
could say
this
that
is
I'm like.
something that's been told to you by others,
You
right?
could say that I'm like. I guess you could say you're like fairly certain or certain, but I guess 100% certainty is like a.
You're certain that other people have told you this to be true,
Mhm.
but you haven't done
From
the
my
research
perspective, yeah.
yourself, right? You haven't
For all I know,
studied
the
it.
world could not be real, right?
Oh shit! See, now we're getting into the realm of existential crises, right?
Mm-hmm.
Reality's a lie, you know.
No, I'm not saying it's a lie. I'm
None
saying
of us
it
are
could be a
real.
lie. It could also be real. We don't know.
Oh, that's crazy.
At the end of the day, we don't know anything, right?
No,
We think things. We come to logical conclusions, but we don't really know anything for certain, right? We
I
can
know
just
what I
point
had
to
for
things that we have
breakfast.
reason to
Well,
believe.
no, I know what I had for breakfast this morning. I'm certain of that.
You might have imagined it.
Good.
Really?
You think that you know, and
No, I
maybe
know that I know, based on
you're
what I
probably right.
experienced.
I wouldn't disagree with you. I would believe you, right? I don't think you hallucinated having breakfast, right? But it's not impossible.
Well, it is because it's either a true or
No,
false
it's not.
statement.
It's
Either
not
I do know what
impossible.
I had for breakfast, or I don't. The only
I mean,
way
you have
I'd
like
be able to
some high
articulate
level
which is
certainty.
true, which
You
is
have like
false, is
a
by personal experience, right?
well, I mean, you'd have like a high percentage of certainty, but it wouldn't be 100%, right? You can't be 100% certain.
No, I'm 100% certain of what I had for breakfast. I
You're
remember.
100% certain.
Nice.
Like there's
Yeah,
like a from your perspective, there's like a 0% chance that like
I had three
you
slices of
reality is
toast
real
with
and that all of
one
your
slice
memories
of
are
butter on each
fake.
of them, and then I coated them with jam. I can even tell you what flavor jam it was. It was raspberry. The jar was one quarter full. Like one
Yeah, but
piece
what
of
if you
toast was
imagine
burnt. Like,
okay,
how much more specific do you want me to get?
what if your
Like,
entire life is a lie and all of your memories are just that memories and they
Beautiful.
never actually happened and you just started existing yesterday?
and it,
You would have no way to prove the contrary.
We're good.
Yeah, but that's usually not the criterion for knowledge about the world, right?
What? Oh,
Even if we can't have metaphysical certainty about,
Mhm.
our knowledge, so to speak, or the totality of knowledge, um, we're still able to, I mean, quote unquote, in some epistemological theories, you can at least have a probability schema, right, which is rational, built on rational principles, and so
Correct.
therefore it's still a kind of knowledge. So
Well,
like
that's what I
universal
love worldview.
skepticism is a really difficult position to actually defend,
oh,
and I don't know why you just keep going back
Baited.
there over and over again.
Oh,
Well, it's the case that
oh my gosh.
while it is true that like
Oh my
damn,
I don't
gosh.
so
really have
close.
like
That was
a
good.
100% level of certainty
Right. So
Good
of
one.
right. So your propositions would be considered less reliable than other propositions. That's it.
no, not really.
Oh
I wouldn't
man,
consider any proposition to have like a level of
I can't
100%
do it,
certainty,
bro. I'm
right?
gonna
I think
crash
you
out.
categorize it differently.
Crashing out.
What?
What?
You were saying something and then someone else said that they were crashing out and then you just stopped. You just
You're
like,
saying something about propositions.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, it wouldn't devalue a proposition that I hold or maintain, right?
Well, no, it would
I
just
would
make
just
it
argue
less
that like
reliable than others because you don't have a
no, it's
criterion.
not. No,
So
it's not
like
less
it's very,
reliable.
you're unable. I mean, we would say you'd be unable
No,
to
because
establish a
if I'm
claim.
gonna define it based off of like
Right, but if you can't
you got to establish a
if you can't
claim.
differentiate, right, your quote unquote propositional knowledge from mere intuition, then you don't really have a
no,
categorical
I
way
can, right?
of explaining
Right?
certain
Like
or
I can
distinguishing
just
certain
like
causes from
make
others.
some presuppositions, right? So when I make claims about the world, I presuppose that the world is real, right? Or doesn't mean I have 100%
Right,
of
but that's the
certainty
thing.
that it
That's
is.
from our epistemological worldview, not yours.
Yo,
Mhm.
Femiaz, Time Zone's trying to get you to read the chat.
Okay.
You need God to make propositions, man.
No, you don't.
Yeah, no, you can't do anything. You can't even walk without God. How are you walking?
Based on what?
How do you have those legs that you're walking on?
What? Why would I need God for that? Do you have any evidence of God?
Yes, us,
No, where?
existence. Existence is
That's not.
evidence
That's
of
not
God.
evidence. That's not evidence. You'd have to find something more substantial than that.
Well, God is not an object that you can point to. You have to
Okay.
understand that God is just
Mhm.
being.
Let me
Okay.
ask you this: can you point
What if I say
scientific?
he's just not being? Then what?
So let me ask you this: modern scientific theory today accepts the ideas that there are higher dimensions that which we cannot perceive, right? But
It's
they
the
still
Tim
accept that
Pool
they
guy.
exist, right? But
Um.
using your logic, simply because we can't perceive these things means that they don't exist, even though they're pretty much
No, I
all
just
prevailing
I
science
don't think
today
there's evidence that they
believes
exist,
that.
right? So I'm an agnostic atheist. I believe it's the case that there could be a God, that there could also not be a God.
No, we're
Right?
not talking about God. We're talking about dimensions now, right?
Dimensions. Okay, well, nobody was talking about dimensions until you brought it up.
But it's something that science today accepts exists, but that which we have no evidence of.
Nobody was disputing that. Nobody was
But
disputing that.
why do you believe in something that you can't prove exists because there's no evidence of it in this universe?
Because we've
They
scientifically
can
measured it.
because no, they can conceptualize it. Conceptualizing something doesn't make it real,
Okay. So
There's
based
still
on
and
what
yet
evidence
you're
that
science
some
and yet
things
wait,
science
when
tells us
scientists
that higher
say
dimensions are real. So
okay, so when
fourth
scientists
dimension,
say that
fifth
it's
dimension.
real, okay, so when scientists say that it's real, what are they basing it off of? Faith?
They're basing it. I would argue they're probably using inductive reasoning, to be honest. Reasoning
No, I
because
think
they're
that they
looking
do.
at
They do
that
some
which
like
they
weird shit
they're looking at
where they
that
like
which
see
they
how
can
like
observe and they know
particles
exists, and then they're
react
making a very
to
specific
certain things.
presumption.
Right? They do some wacky shit, right? With seeing how particles react and shit like that, and like where they move, right? I'm pretty sure that's what they do. I'm not like too familiar with the science behind it, but if we're talking about like a science something that's scientifically been experimented with, it's gonna be more than just like a I mean you could make the argument like you could I guess
No,
you
look,
could come to the
there is no
conclusion
actual
about
evidence that a fourth dimension exists, but some experiments and theories suggest that it might. Ooh.
yeah,
well, the fourth
Theoretical
true.
dimension does
physicists
exist.
believe in math that shows the possibility of a fourth dimension. Albert Einstein believed that space and time made up a
That's
fourth
mathematically
dimension. String
possible, and
theorists also believe that our
so if there's
world has
some
more than
evidence
three
of it,
dimensions.
yeah. So if there's some
So
evidence
again,
of
they
it,
don't
and
actually have
also
any
mathematically
experiments to prove any of
possible,
this.
then it's perfectly reasonable to at the very least hold that as like a legitimate possibility or something that's even likely because there's evidence to back it. That's the distinction.
No, they
There's no
haven't though.
evidence
They
to
had.
back that there's a God.
This is the point. They haven't demonstrated any of this evidence.
What are you talking about?
Wait, yes, they
You
do.
just said that they did experiment.
No, they theorized.
No, they
I
did
didn't
more
I
than
didn't mention
theorize.
they did
They've
any
Right, but are
experiments.
their theories accurate at all? Can they
Albert
point to any accuracy?
Einstein believed that space and time made up a fourth dimension. String theorists
Right,
also
and we
believe that our
use
world
his
has more than
model
three.
to understand the universe as we see it. So that's what makes it relevant. Nothing is proof. Science doesn't prove anything. You come up with better models that more accurately describe reality.
But a model, but using a model to conceptualize something doesn't demonstrate it to be true.
I mean,
Or doesn't
dimensions in a
say
Doesn't
sense
it's
don't even really
demonstrating
conceptualize
it.
exist. They're just
well,
like
right? We use so when we use certain scientific theories, we want to be able to accurately predict things with those theories, correct? You would agree with that. I would hope.
British.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would
Are
agree
you
with
asking me or was it a general
that.
question?
Yeah, I was asking you, yeah. Yeah, so you
Oh,
agree with that.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's what we would use to make that determination as to whether or not it's useful, right? That doesn't mean that's been like completely proven beyond a reasonable doubt that there's a fourth dimension even, right? Now it's a reasonable enough conclusion to come to. It's not unreasonable, right? Doesn't mean that's proven beyond a reasonable doubt, right? Do you understand the difference?
Let's have a look here. I'm just looking up for this evidence of the fourth dimension. I haven't found anything yet.
Okay.
Isn't it time? Isn't time definitely the fourth dimension?
No, it was time and space, but it was both of them working intrinsic together,
Yes.
basically.
Or you could argue
Well,
that, like,
space is
yeah,
on
so
3 of
people-
the dimensions already.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
but it
Time
was
adds the fourth.
No, when
Yeah.
quantum
Time
physicists
and
or
space is
mathematicians
something.
refer
Fourth
to
dimension.
like
I was thinking more of like a
dimensionality,
dimension, but
dimensionality has to do with measurement. Does that make sense? So if you have like two 3D objects, now you're talking about a 6-dimensional equation. Does this make sense?
Well, it's a,
So
yeah,
dimension
like linear
isn't
algebra.
like
It's
some
a
like
degree of
phasing
freedom.
in and out of the current reality. It's a matter. It's a formulaic construction based on the amount of bodies or units that are being measured.
It's a degree of freedom.
Correct. So like you know, like the 3-body problem, right, in physics is a 9-dimensional problem. You know what I mean? So that's why they talk about like,
Yeah,
oh, is
I
there
didn't know that.
nine dimensions in trying to, you know, make a stochastic equation? You know what I mean? That's what they're talking about.
In string theory, whenever they were talking about being like, oh, there's like 12 dimensions or however many, they were just like, oh, that's how many we need to make the math work. It was never a statement that like, this is
there are
definitely the way
literally
it is,
12
that there's 12 dimensions. They were just saying
Yeah, they're not
we
making
would
a statement
require
Yeah,
that
they're
12
not
dimensions
talking
for
about
the math
12
to work.
different types of reality.
spatial dimensions.
That's what
Like the most that they've done with like trying to observe whether or not there is or isn't like a spatial dimension is like like I said earlier, I'm pretty sure they've done like experimentation with like the way that particles react and shit to see if like they move in a specific way that mathematically aligns with there being like a fourth dimension or some shit like that.
Time Zone wants you to look at the side chat. I'm relaying information.
Your mic just like got 5 times worse. I'm sorry.
Just a bit.
Hello?
Time Zone just wants you to look at the side chat. Can you hear me?
Your
Barely.
mic is like really bad.
Something's going on with your mic.
Mr. Garbage Man, you need a better mic or you need to fix it.
Oh, I
Me?
was
Oh,
on
that
my
was Bubba.
phone.
Oh, that was Bubba talking.
Yeah, I was on my phone. Sorry. Normally I have a much better.
Oh, that was you. Okay, sorry. I falsely accused somebody else of having the bad mic. Okay.
That's okay.
It's because
That Hitler, when he was gassing and killing Jews, was that all right or no?
no, of course not. That was bad.
Why
That
not?
caused more harm than good
Why
by a
not?
lot. Because the negative qualia experienced by the Jews supersedes the positive qualia of like people that are evil like Hitler.
Okay, but how do you know he's evil? Evil is a religious
because-
term.
Because he
not in
was
the
not
context that I use it.
correctly
So
using empathy.
when I say evil, I mean like really like somebody that's really, 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 really bad and malicious. That's what I mean by it.
Okay. Well, even according to you, you don't know what bad and good is. It's rather, is this more
I have a pretty good
beneficial for
understanding.
me
I have reason to
or
believe.
not beneficial? You have no good or not good in your worldview.
No, I do.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just say nuh-uh.
Well, the thing is no one is saying that you don't femoise or like femias or that you feel that you do, but it's just wholly unintelligible, right?
How is it unintelligible?
Well, I mean, that's why we're still, I guess, like they're still asking you because
Like I believe
we
it's the
haven't made it
case
clear
that
yet.
again, when I say that the world is real, right, it's on the basis of intersubjective agreement. I would argue that the world objectively exists, despite the
Okay,
fact that
great.
I, as an individual actor, can't know with
Yeah, but
100%
is it
certainty that
because of
anything is real.
is it because it's the experiences that confront you from the world, or is it your feelings about those experiences?
It would be the well, hold on. It would be the experience of being and what I
Right,
perceive to be the
despite
world.
whatever your feelings are, right? And what was right? That's kind of what we're talking about. There's like different epistemological theories at this point, right? That's like the whole
Okay.
point of applying logic to one set of assumptions versus another. So if we want to try to establish a set of rational principle based on just the experience, that's what we're referring to as science, right? Scientific epistemology.
Yeah, but if it was the
Yeah,
case that
but if you're saying that morality has to do not with the experiences and in fact your intuitive feelings about the way you feel about the,
I didn't say it was
experiences
my
that you're having, but
intuition.
I'm just saying hypothetically, then you're no longer talking about science, you're only talking about subjectivity, right?
No, I wasn't talking about subjectivity. I was talking about intersubjectivity. For example,
Okay, so now you're
if it
just
was the
shifting the
case,
goalpost to a term that,
no, I'm
we're
not
not even
shifting
talking
goalposts. You
about.
didn't even hear what
Well,
I
no, no,
had
no,
to say
you're
in the
talking
start.
about intersubjectivity now, right? Now there are different actual schools of philosophy that try to get into something that was going to resemble intersubjectivity, but not in the way that you describe it.
Okay. So
Like, are
do
you
you believe
talking
Do you
it's the
think
about
it's
like
case
a
that there's like
possible
phenomenological epistemology or
do you
something?
think it's possible for two different
can I-
people to have the same experience but perceive it in
um
different ways?
yeah, of course that's possible. Well, hold
Okay,
on.
but
What
then
do you mean by
how
experience?
do you make it
Hold on.
moral?
Do you
How do
mean
you make a
external or
moral?
internal experience? Wait, I need to be clear. Internal or external experience?
It could be external, but it could also be internal as well. Like people could
Okay,
go through.
external experience, yes, that's possible. If they have exactly the same internal experience, then yeah, they would, in the moment, perceive it the same way. Otherwise, there would be a distinction in their internal
Focus on
experiences, and that
external
would logically contradict itself.
Okay, so give me a definition of an internal experience to you, because I would interpret that to mean things like an emotional reaction to something,
It could be an
something
emotional
that's
reaction.
intrinsic
It
to
could be
them.
like the way that you internally experience qualia, right? It could be something along those lines, right? Um, like you
Yeah,
would
but people have
experience
different
something
emotions.
internally, right? Whereas like an external experience is like, oh, I experienced getting a fucking blowjob, okay? Right? That'd be like an experience, right? But you're not like you would be describing like something that's happening externally as the experience rather than what you internally um experience while that's happening. Does that make sense? That's sort of the
Yeah,
distinction.
but at the end of the day, an orgasm is still an external experience. So it could just be a case where one external experience leads to another external experience, and that's the end of the causal chain.
But you would internally experience something as a result of the orgasm,
Wait,
right?
how do you have an internal experience that isn't the result of an external stimuli?
Mm, I mean, I
You just
guess
wake up and you feel happy, like the fuck?
it could be I guess like depends on whether or not you would like would you classify like I don't know random chemical reactions that
You're
occur within your brain, for instance, like what would you categorize that as?
well, that'd be class. It might be like internal as far as your body's
Okay,
concerned.
internally, then that would be all you would need, right?
But then all you're doing is you're just boiling down internal reactions down to a chemical internal experiences are just predicated on chemical reactions. That's literally all you're predicating it upon.
Yeah, sure. So would you argue
What's
that
the
the chemical
topic?
reactions are external then? Because you could make that argument as well, in which case, sure, then it
But
is predicated on
chemical
responding to
reaction
external experiences.
no, but chemical reactions
Yo,
like
who here's Catholic?
that you would the chemical reactions that you would equate to an internal
Yo, who
experience.
here's
That's all
Catholic?
predicated on predicated on external stimuli. Whether someone,
Um, okay.
whether someone gets an adrenaline rush or their body gets flushed with like like serotonin or whatever, it depends on how they interpret um an encounter or an experience.
Do you think it's
Like
impossible to experience qualia without like an external world?
the only way you'd be able to
Like
do
that?
that is like is where you're cut off from external stimuli. I can't. The only way you could possibly interpret that would be in a fucking deprivation tank,
Like you're
possibly.
let's say you're conscious, but you're not able to experience external stimuli. I'm actually
Yeah.
curious.
So a deprivation tank. They have those things.
Sure.
Do you know what ends up happening?
What?
The brain starts creating false stimuli
So
as
that
a
would be an
way
internal
of
experience.
retaining sanity,
So that would
right?
be an internal experience, correct?
Well, yeah, but it's just the brain. It's just the brain releasing endorphins and chemicals
Mm-hmm.
to try and
Yeah, but that's an internal experience, right? By your definition. You said that chemical reactions would be internal, right?
Well, it's as a consequence of a lack of stimuli. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
still
So
it's still a
it's kind
consequence
of
so
of
an
the
internal
external
environment.
experience,
experience
by
still,
your
though, right?
Well, yeah, it
categorization,
is. It's
right?
still yeah.
Like if you want to define like chemical reactions as like external, then like that's fine, I guess. But you define them as
Fem.
What do
internal.
you mean it's
I
fine?
still I
There's
Fem,
don't
no
I
other
Fem.
still
way for us
we
to
still
know,
haven't
right?
like
That it is
we still haven't like
chemical
nailed down
than
what
by
is an internal stimuli,
presupposing
bro,
that it is
because you're
external
predicating it
to
on
us.
chemicals.
Yes.
Hold on,
Fem,
let's
Like
just
really
get
quickly
we don't
before you
feel that it's a
respond,
chemical
just in the
thing.
side chat. In the side chat, guys trying to talk to you, but continue.
We
Yeah,
observe that
what if
it's
a
a
person has
chemical
a
thing.
chemical imbalance, right?
Okay, 1%.
If someone's
Chemical
chemically
imbalance.
imbalanced and they're receiving
Mhm.
they're having what if someone is chemically imbalanced, right? And then they start having what you would define as an internal experience or whatever.
Mhm.
That's as a consequence of being chemically imbalanced.
Mhm. Yeah,
But then
I
you
guess.
can't but then their experience as a consequence of being chemically imbalanced would not be equal to or similar to somebody who is chemically imbalanced and having that same experience. Or a
Yeah,
similar
exactly.
experience. Exactly, but they'd
Yeah,
be two
exactly.
completely different.
The way that
But
you internally
it'd be
respond to external stimuli is going to be different from person to person, right? But that internal stimuli is or sorry, not sorry, that external stimuli could be consistent while the response is inconsistent or whatever, right? There's not like a contradiction in my
well,
worldview
no,
there.
but wouldn't you couldn't use it but you couldn't use internal stimuli internal experiences as an objective measure because again, if it's
Of
predicated
morality?
upon chemical reactions and a person is chemically imbalanced, their experience is going to differ from the objective standard that all others would have if they were chemically balanced, right? As a consequence of being chemically imbalanced, you can't use that as a like a metric for
Um,
defining like an objective, experience or something like that.
sure you could, right? So it's going to be the case that if we're talking about like whether or not something is good or bad. Here, let me give you like a really simple example, okay? Let's say it's the case that okay, we'll go back to ice cream, okay? I hate chocolate ice cream. It makes me feel sick. It tastes like vomit, okay? But I love vanilla ice cream, okay? Now, if it's the case that you are aware of this information and then you buy me or I'm like, "Oh, can you get me some ice cream, okay?" Right? And you know that I only eat vanilla ice cream, right? And then you buy me chocolate ice cream. I would argue that that'd be like an immoral action, right? Because you'd be doing the wrong thing. Like you took my credit card, you bought the wrong thing. I might not have explicitly stated that I wanted vanilla, but you know that I have like a negative experience with chocolate, okay? Right? Now, that doesn't mean that it's immoral to buy somebody chocolate or to whatever. Like if it was the case that I had a different experience or like chocolate ice cream, then it
That's
wouldn't
not
be immoral,
analogous.
right? Does
You're
that make
also
sense?
going to ask the person not to eat chocolate ice cream around you, though.
Hmm? I know it's not the best analogy, but like I'm trying to illustrate the point that whether or not you do something to or for somebody is going to depend on what their response is, right? So some people might um get
No,
Yeah,
I'm
but
saying
enjoy
you're
to make the
talking about
analogy.
intersubjectivity now. You're not talking about objectivity.
To make the
um
analogy a
So you
little
can't
more
no,
make
I
like
wasn't
objective
talking
claims
about
to
objectivity
intersubjectivity.
right there, but I was explaining why but I'm talking about like whether or not something is good or bad on the basis of whether or not
to make
somebody responds a certain way subjectively. However, what isn't subjective is whether or not there are preferable or non-preferable negative and positive experiences. And what I mean by that is um, you instantly categorize, whether you realize it or not, any experience you have as positive or negative, right? Do you disagree with that? Or maybe as neutral, if it's a neutral experience.
Yeah, so now
But
you
like
just
for
have an
instance, if
unintelligible
you were to stub
system.
your toe, for
Right, but
instance,
that's the thing. You
that'd be
just
like
keep
negative quality,
backpedaling and
right?
creating new categories. I mean, these are all subjective classifications at this point. You still haven't provided like an objective
I
criterion.
think that whether or not we experience positive and negative qualia
Yeah, I
is
mean, you're just
objective if
demonstrating
the world is
again
real
over
as
and
we
over
know it,
again
right?
how
So if it's the case,
unintelligible your understanding is
so
of
if it's the
external,
case,
you know,
so
experiences.
if it's the case
Oh
that
my
the
God.
world is real and we're all
Right.
real,
Are you just on, you're
it
right,
seems to
but
be the
at this
case that
point,
I
you're just on a
experience
fishing
consciousness.
expedition right now, right? Like, I don't know if like this is just your
So
personality,
it seems
like
to be
you're
the
an
case that you're
external
not able to
thinker.
engage in anything that I'm saying.
Well, now here's the thing. It's not our, no one is obliged to understand your position for you.
So if you don't understand what my position
Hey,
is, then
listen, it might be
kill
cold,
us you.
hard, and cynical, but that's just what logic and philosophy is about.
It seems to be the case that you're
I
just
mean,
not able to
there's
understand what my
better
position
approaches
is.
to this. Let me offer you a lifeline, okay? Like I'm feeling generous, I'll offer you a lifeline, which is, do you believe that quote unquote like logic or the formal rules of logic are fundamental, are fundamental assumptions that we can hold in order to make statements about the objective experiences or externalities?
For the sake of efficiency, yeah.
For the sake of efficiency. So you'd at least agree that there's some utility in assuming that it's the case, right?
Of course, yes.
Okay,
I
so
assume.
then why don't we just start there?
Sure. Okay. Go on.
No, I mean that's it. Now we agree.
Just real
Okay,
quick,
so
Dana.
you don't disagree with my position then?
Well,
If
I
we
mean,
agree on that?
well, you would have to explain what your position is relative to the, I guess, like the point of reference or the external experience or observation that we're discussing. Can you provide one? Maybe if you provide an example, then we can take a look at it together and formulate the hypothesis together.
I'm not following. So like, you're
Well, I'm
so
trying to engage in the scientific inquiry now, and you don't want
okay.
to entertain it. So, is this because you have an issue with suspending your disbelief about certain, um, you know, theses or something?
No. I will say I'm like I don't know, like I am like pretty new to like the whole like I don't know, like talking
So
about
then, how
philosophy
about
shit.
this? What's a what? Do you have an example of something that isn't totally entirely, you know, external to your perception and is a mix of both?
A mix of both.
Right. Subjective and you know, subjective and objective experience. Like, is there an example of this
Um,
somewhere?
what do you mean by subjective and objective? Like, how would you define that?
Okay, so now you're gonna backpedal and you're gonna concede
I'm
that
not
you can't
backpedaling. I
agree.
just want to make sure that we're on the
Hold
same
on, hold
page.
on. Well, I mean, when we first began, right, this line of reasoning, you said that you were willing to at least assume, right, for, you know, efficiency and utility, that we can both fundamentally assume, like the laws of logic, so to speak, right?
hmm
But now you're saying that you can't.
No, I'm not saying that I can't. I'm just making sure that we're on the same page when it comes to
Well, I
what
mean,
is or isn't
you
subjective
didn't,
slash
you,
objective.
right, but now, but you're backpedaling and you're questioning whether we can determine something is objective or subjective,
No, I'm
right?
just asking how you would
Something
define that.
can't be and not be at the same time, wouldn't you agree?
I would agree with that.
Okay. So I don't see how it's difficult to understand what could be considered to be subjective and objective. So why would you start questioning that again unless you were questioning our fundamental assumptions? Do you see the vicious circularity that you're kind of trapped in as a
Yo,
universal
Booba.
skeptic?
Possibly.
Possibly.
Yo,
Okay.
Booba,
Well,
why
you
do you
do
look
realize
problem
that
if I'm...
plausibility is not the
Is
same
the
thing as
problem if I'm a
possibility, right?
Catholic and I hate niggers?
Yo,
Oh,
no
that's
N-words in
disgusting.
That's
here.
crazy.
No, it's not.
No
Yo,
N-words. Ban all N-words, y'all.
Okay, black people. Sorry.
They're just here to troll, so just mute
No.
these guys.
Yeah, it's a perma mute.
Continue, guys.
Okay.
okay, one
Sorry, what
nigger,
were you
two
saying?
nigger, three nigger, four nigger, five nigger, six nigger,
This
nigger.
Bob's the guy. Bob's the guy. There you
Okay, Bob. All right. Oh no, they got muted. Where did they? Oh, they left. So sad.
go. Continue on.
Anyways, what were you saying?
No, I mean, that's pretty much it. You're kind of
Oh,
stuck in a
okay.
vicious circularity as a result of your universal skepticism.
All right, that's fair.